If you grab your journals, and again, if we make this a meditative practice, so just take a few moments and check in with your breathing and the sense of sitting on the chair. So everyone who's joining, we're just going to start to do our journaling practice. So just take a few deep breaths, notice what's going on in your mind, in your body, and then engaging in the practice, focusing on the practice. And today we're going to do another type of perspective taking. So we can do different ways of taking perspective. So we can go I versus you, we can go here versus there, we can go now versus then. So they're the three core variables. There's lots of other ways of doing it, but they're like three that sit at the heart of human language. And so yesterday we did it from another perspective, so I versus you. And then this morning we're going to do more now versus then. So what I want you to do is imagine yourself 5 or 10 years from now, looking back on this time period and this difficult time for everyone and this current lockdown and everything that you're experiencing. I'm sure you have other challenges and other things going on as well. And just thinking from that position of 5 or 10 years time, looking back now, what would you say to yourself, as advice? What would be your perspective on this current position? What would you have wanted to stand for at this time? What qualities, what ways of being, what kind of values would you want to have lived by during these difficulties? So going forward in time, looking back on now, thinking, what would you want to tell yourself, and what would you have been really proud of in yourself for standing for and living at these difficult times? So do your own journaling practice on that, and then I'll throw in some other ideas in a moment or two. How would you have wanted to treat other people and yourself during this time? What type of person would you want to be in these difficulties? Would you want to be supportive? Would you want to be motivated and stayed engaged and focused on your goals, adapting them to the situation? Would you have wanted to be playful where you could be, to have still had some fun even in the difficulties? Humor, would you have wanted to have been kind and caring and supportive and looked after those around you? What kind of qualities would you have wanted to have been, ambitious and still focused on furthering your career and everything you're working on? Would you have wanted to stand for mastery and develop some new skills or perfect some skills that you're already working on? And there's a lot you can write here if you expand things out. So we might just say one quality, and then, I want to be kind, or I want to be focused during this time. But then we want to translate that into the details of actions and goals. So how would that look to be those qualities? So, taking what you've written from that forward perspective, looking back, and then looking today, what can you do? What actions and goals can you do today that will live those values? So you could write more on what you'd want to stand for, the type of person that you'd want to be. There's a lot more you can write there, those values and how they look in action. But let's go for today. How do you want to live those today? So see if you can write a little bit about that. We've got about another minute. So just put a few ideas down of 2 or 3 actions or goals. Actions are sort of ongoing habits and things we do regularly. And they're kind of like small goals, little sub goals, and then goals are more the defined milestones, the sort of bigger things that you can tick off. And as we do a practice like this, our mind, might be fully on board, and we might be thinking, yeah, I've been doing a lot of that. I can keep doing more of that. I can increase it. But there will be some people on the call that your mind will be going, oh, I haven't been doing this. I haven't been living this way. And that's where we want to use our other mindfulness skills to notice those thoughts, that comparison, that judgment, that inner critic. Notice it and then refocus back onto what we want to do today. It's never too late to recommit to a habit you want to change. It's never too late to refocus on a goal. No one ever changes behaviors overnight. Often we have to have many difficult periods and dark nights of the soul before we'll change habits and do new things. If you look at anyone throughout history or any autobiographies you've read, you'll find there was lots of struggles, lots of points where people thought, I can't do this, this is too much, I've got to give up, or more extreme, less extreme versions of that. So if your mind is being critical as you do this at all, that's okay. That's a thought. It can be the radio station playing in the background. We can notice it and then focus today. What are those actions and goals for today? And how are we going to put our full focus on them? And then really savor and enjoy the end of the day when we've done some of them. Check in at the end of the day and go, yeah, I've lived my values today. And that process can just build on itself, setting your goals and your actions and connecting with values at the beginning of the day and then checking in at the end of the day. How did I do? Noticing any inner critic, but then, focusing on action and what we can do in response.